I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who listened to the first podcast. As you'll know from listening to it, it is a bit rough around the edges. There was little sound gaps. It was a bit rambly. However, one thing that I didn't mention in the actual podcast, which I should have subsequently when I spoke to people and got some feedback, is I actually just on my commute to work, I was just a bit bored and I just recorded it start to finish and edited it in my car. The recordings pretty much were kind of sliced up into the three key areas that I was discussing, and then after that, when I got to work, I was sat in the car park just editing it, adding the sounds and everything else. So the fact that I could actually get something out there was actually my main priority, not necessarily the structure and sound quality of the podcast, which obviously massive aspects to making a podcast successful. But that was my kind of first, let's just get it out there, rough cut kind of take on what's going on in e-commerce and who we're talking to at the moment. So thank you so much to everyone who listened. I was really surprised with the amount of people that actually listened to it. Now that it's obviously gone onto the various kind of podcast channels, hopefully it'll continue to grow, but I think moving forward I definitely want to add more structure into it, because otherwise it's just rabblings of a digital madman, really. So thanks to everyone who listened to it. So how did I do it? Basically, I heard about this app called Anchor, which enables you to create, edit, put sound in the background, trim all the little clips and stuff like that. So I downloaded that app, I heard about it, and I just thought, well, this is great, because we were going to use it for a couple of clients and for the agency's podcast as well. But it basically allows you to just have complete agility when it comes to creating a podcast. I download the Anchor app. On there, it's got some tools where you can basically do voice recording. You can put in music in the background. It has like a library of interludes, which is all free. It's all part of the app. It has sound effects. It has a link to Spotify, so you can play some new Spotify music on there. And basically it has a cool little editing tool where you can go through, edit the podcast, make sure that everything's working correctly. It took me a while of I was in my car at the time, but it took me basically my kind of approach towards it was I was talking over a period of time, and then I basically took the clip and sliced and diced it into the right kind of running order for what works for me. Don't get me wrong, I think moving forward that first podcast was a bit chaotic, but with regards to like how to take it forward, I definitely think if it's more structured, if you have a bit of a running order, even if it's just a piece of paper in front of you that has the key subjects that you want to cover, then obviously it's got things like 1, 2, 3 or top 5 things or whatever that will then enable you to keep your kind of content focused on what you're talking about, focused on the end goal, plus the listener will actually get more out of it. Because I found that from the feedback that I've got from the people who've listened to it in and outside of my network, they basically said that if it had more structure, I'd be able to follow it a little bit more, because not everyone actually gets a lot of the subject matter that I'm talking about. So I went into development, and then into digital marketing, then into content, and a lot of people might not understand some of the basic terminology. So doing the summary at the end, having a structure, that kind of thing will definitely help. And then once I was using the Anchor podcast, basically you hit publish at that point. You upload a little image, a description. When the description kind of acts like an SEO kind of thing, where that's where all your search criteria comes in. You add in the title and image, and then you can publish it. What happens is I published mine, it went straight to Anchor pretty much and started getting listens. But then after that, it went out to a couple of other places as well, which I was just like, this is amazing. So it went on to Spotify, Stitch, and a couple of other ones. So the the actual distribution aspect of it for me is one of the major benefits. So you can record, edit, and publish the podcast with literally just your mobile phone. And I think that that's just so agile, so low maintenance, and to be honest with you, completely suits how I'd like to approach it, especially initially because I'm not going to have any form of professional equipment right now. I just want to get things out there, get feedback, and then invite guests basically into the podcast in the future. People in my network, people I think will add value to anybody that's on like a digital kind of journey with not really sure about what to do in certain areas. So I'm going to bring in experts and basically have a chat with those guys and record that conversation. So from a distribution perspective, it's really good. So um, that's it anyway. I just wanted to say thank you again. And yeah, the next podcast will be coming soon. I'm going to be interviewing somebody or having a chat with somebody in the industry. So more to follow on that. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. Send me any feedback on Instagram at Casey Digital or find me on LinkedIn. And then we can go from there. But yeah, thank you.